Boys and girls, welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 6.3, Data Day. The materials that you'll need today, notebook paper, pencil, math journal, and template. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go over our math boxes from the previous lesson. So if you can open up your math journal to page 136. If you're noticing that you have any mistakes, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. For the first question, fill in the frames, and we're doing either +2 whenever we see a solid line or -5 whenever we see one of those hashed lines. So when I'm looking at 19, I know that 19 minus 2 is 17. I had to do the opposite in order to figure out that number that comes first. Then 19 minus 5 is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. 16 minus 5 is 11. 11 plus 2 is 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. And then 8 plus 2 is 10. For question number 2, I changed the directions and said draw 3 possible ways to show 30 cents using quarters, dimes, and nickels. There's more than just 3 ways, but these are the ways I chose to use today. I used a quarter, which is 25, and a nickel to bring me to 30. I used 3 dimes, 10, 20, 30, and then I used 2 dimes, 10, 20, and then 2 nickels, 25, 30. For question number 3, write less than, greater than, or equal to. The unit I chose to use today were bugs. So I know that 7 plus 5 equals 12. 12 plus 30 would give me 42, which would be greater than 40. I know that 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 plus 11 is 21, which would be less than 26. I know 18 plus 2 is 20, plus 7 is 27. So 32 would be greater than 27. I know that 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 13 would be 23. So 19 is less than 23. For question 4, draw a line segment that is 5 centimeters long. So if you can double check with your ruler or your template, put your 0 on one end and then double check that yours matches the 5 centimeters. For question 5, what time is it? And I can see that it is 7:25. And then for question 6, I'm finding the half for each of these numbers. So I know half of 2 is 1, half of 4 is 2, half of 8 is 4, half of 10 is 5, half of 14 is 7, and half of 50 is 25. So if you can double check that you have this page correct before moving on to the next slide. Please use either a notebook paper or whiteboard and marker to complete the problems on the next slides. If the speed is too fast, pause as often as needed. So for our first question, it takes Maurice about 14 minutes to get to school in the morning. It takes Ava about 7 minutes. How much longer does it take Maurice to get to school? If it's helpful to write down a number model and your answer, please do so. Press pause and play when you're ready to check. So I know that 14 minus 7 is 7, so that it is taking about 7 minutes longer. For the second one, Josh read 25 pages, Stephen read 15 pages. How many fewer pages did Stephen read than Josh? Press pause and play to check. I know that 25 minus 15 equals 10, so my answer would be 10 fewer pages. We'll try one more. Mike collected 54 cans. Marty collected 30 more than Mike. How many cans did Marty collect? Press pause and play to check. For this problem, I needed to add 54 plus 30 because Marty collected 30 more than Mike. So 54 plus 30 I know is 84. You can put your notebook or your whiteboard to the side. We'll now talk about Math Journal page 138. So in this page, we are comparing fish. So you can see fish lengths of fish B, C, D, H, K, and L. So in question number 1, it says fish C is how many inches longer than fish B? So they gave us a little bit of information. They told us that fish C is 18 inches, and they told us that fish B was 14 inches. So you're solving for the difference. Can you press pause to solve and then play when you're ready to check? So for that first problem, I know that 18 minus 14 would bring me to 4. So the difference was what I was solving, and fish C is 4 inches longer than fish B. Let's talk about question 2 as well. So fish K is how many inches shorter than fish H is how many inches shorter than fish K. So you're going to need to look and see what's the quantity of fish K, what's the quantity of fish H, and then solving for the difference. Press pause and play when you're ready to check. So I can see that fish K is 42 inches, and I can see that fish H is 30 inches, and I'm trying to solve the difference. So I need to think about 42 minus 30, or think about 30 plus how much more to get to 42. Well, I know 30 plus 10 would get me to 40, plus 2 more would bring me to 42. 10 plus 2 is equal to 12. So fish H is 12 inches shorter than fish K. Let's continue comparing fish by looking at page 139. We'll also keep checking 138 for our inches and our lengths. So for question 3, fish L is how many inches shorter? Fish L is how many inches longer than fish H? Can you write down your quantities and differences? Why don't you press pause, solve as much of this page as you can, and then press play when you're ready to check. All right, second graders. So I'm looking for fish L and fish H, and so I can see that fish L is 72 inches, and I can see that fish H is 30 inches. So I'm solving for the difference and thinking 30 plus how much more to get to 72, and I should have had 42 for my difference. And if I'm about to reveal an answer before you've solved, press pause as often as needed. For question 4, I'm looking at fish B, and I can see that fish B is 14 inches, fish D is 24. So I'm going to put that 24 in my top quantity, and then I'm going to put 14 in the bottom quantity, and I'm solving for the difference. So I need to think how much more to go from 14 to 24. And we should know that that is 10. For question 5, I know fish H is 6 inches longer than what? So if I look at fish H and I see that that's 30 inches, and so this time I know that my difference is 6, so I need to figure out what that missing quantity is. That's what I'm trying to solve. And so my answer, I should have fish D, because I know that 30 minus 6 is 24, and fish D is the fish that's 24 inches. For question 6, fish L is 30 inches longer than which fish? So I'm going to put fish L 72 inches in my top quantity, and my difference I know is 30, and I'm solving for my other missing quantity. So I would know that my answer would be fish K, because 72 minus 30 is 42, which would be my same inches as fish K. Fish C is 6 inches shorter than which fish? So fish C is 18 inches. And since it's the shorter fish, I'm trying to figure out my larger quantity. So this time I know that I need to add 18 plus 6. And so my answer would be fish D, because 18 plus 6 is 24, which is the same as fish D. Our last one, fish B is 16 inches shorter than which fish? So again, I'm solving for my larger quantity. And so fish B we know is 14 inches. We know the difference is 16, so I need to add 14 plus 16 to figure out that I should have fish H, because 14 plus 16 is 30, which is the same as fish H. We will continue working on quantity difference diagrams in future lessons, but please double check to make sure that you have this page correct before looking at math boxes. In math boxes today, I'll talk about the directions to page 140, then I'll ask that you complete this page on your own. When you're all done, take a picture and add that picture to Seesaw. We will go over this page in our next video. For question number 1, which of these is unlikely to happen? Circle the sentence. It is unlikely that you will have lunch today, you will grow 5 inches while you sleep tonight, you will see someone you recognize. For question 2, measure the line segment in both inches and centimeters. For question 3, Denise picked 16 tulips and 4 daffodils. How many flowers did she pick in all? Fill out your diagram and write your number model. How many dots do you see in this 3 by 5 array? For question 5, list the numbers in order from smallest to largest, and then tell me which number occurs the most often. And for our last question, number 6, continue the count and pay attention to what pattern you see in that count. All right, I will see you next time.